The divisional round of the NFL playoffs is here. Today we're going to talk about the two Saturday games. We got Jaguars versus Chiefs, Giants versus Eagles. I have my favorite pick in each of those games. Let's dive in. What's going on? My name's Austin from Calling Our Shot. Welcome aboard to our channel. We'll have a completely separate video for Sunday slate. That will be live Saturday evening, but let's talk about this season as a whole. Now, last week was a pretty good week for us. 4-2. We went 2-1 on spreads, 2-1 on player props. We'll certainly take that. Hasn't been the greatest year, but we're still up over 22 units. We will certainly take that. And also, side note, our Underdog parlay cashed last Sunday. So of course, we're running it back with the sponsor of the video, Underdog Fantasy. It is available in a large majority of the United States, and it's a great place to bet your player prop parlay. So much so that later on in this video, I'll have my favorite Underdog parlay. But the best part is, if you sign up using our code COS or the link down below, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. It's free money. Take advantage of it. All the links are down below, all in the description. Go check it out. I'll talk about Underdog a little bit later on in this video, but let's go to the first game, Jaguars versus Chiefs, and let's talk about a player prop that I do like, Mr. Jerick McKinnon, the Chiefs running back. I like his under 25.5 rushing yards, minus 108 on Caesars, and I'd probably play this down to about 21.5. Don't really know where the line goes by kickoff, which is, I believe, scheduled for about 4:30 Eastern, but am I missing something here? Because Mr. McKinnon, he's got a high line, and I don't really know why, because over his last 3 games, the man has 7, 4, and 6 rushing yards. He hasn't even sniffed the total. And while maybe the Andy Reid and the offense switches up a little bit in the postseason, I don't expect McKinnon to suddenly become their workhorse back. And now this is rushing yards. Do not take us under in receiving yards. McKinnon is known for being a great pass catching back. That's how the Chiefs have used him all year long. But still, this season, only 4 yards per carry. Not great. And he's under this line in 14 of 17 games played. So you took this every single game, you're up a lot on the year. And maybe they changed it a little bit in the postseason, but I just don't see McKinnon having a breakout game against the Jaguars. Now, McKinnon's been great. Give him credit where credit is due. He scored a touchdown in 6 straight games. He's combined for 9 touchdowns over that time span. So I expect the Jaguars to be keyed in on him. They're going to know where he is on the field and be like, all right, we need to watch McKinnon because we know Tyreek Hill's not there. They're going to obviously be concerned about Travis Kelce. But other than that, the wide receivers for the Chiefs have been very inconsistent. So I expect them to game plan a little bit for McKinnon. But either way, Isaiah Pacheco, he's been handling the majority of the running back carries for this team. And this is already a Chiefs team that doesn't run the ball a whole lot. So we look at Pacheco as the guy they're probably going to hand it off to the majority of the time. McKinnon, last time these two teams played on November 13th, he saw 1 carry for 2 yards. Now, I don't expect him to suddenly randomly get 6 to 10 carries in this game. Even if he gets 6, he still has to average more than 4 yards per carry or he's not hitting it. And the Jaguars defense has been pretty solid this year. They're averaging the 7th fewest rushing yards per carry, so teams aren't able to run for a lot on them. And we saw Austin Eckler and his backup Josh Kelly last week. Both ran for less than 3 yards per carry. Eckler hit the over technically, but his line was well above the 25.5 that McKinnon has. So we look at them; they've been really stiff on the ground. In fact, the last running back to average more than 4 yards per carry against them was Derrick Henry six weeks ago. So they've been really stiff on the run. And look, I know Derrick Henry is a little bit different from Jerick McKinnon. If you ever watched him play, a little bit different size. And you look at it, Jerick McKinnon last year, he was crushing this line in the playoffs, but they have no healthy running backs. He was the RB1 on the team. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he got injured right before the playoffs. So they saw them lean on Jerick McKinnon, and maybe that's why this line went up. I know Andy Reid is always weird. You never really know what he's going to do. It's a week after a bye, but I still think Pacheco gets the majority of the carries. He's run very well for him over the back half of the season. I just don't see Jerick randomly getting 10 plus carries. And if he does, it's probably a bad read, and we're going to need an absolute miracle if we see McKinnon getting like 10 or more carries, but not the best runner in the league. Now, sure, he could hit the kit over on just 1 carry, but hopefully he only sees 1, 2, 3 carries, and we just have to take our chances, trust the data. We're taking his under 25.5 rushing yards as my player prop for that game. I don't really have a lean for it. I don't really know. I'll talk about that game at the end. Now let's move on to the second game though. Giants versus Eagles. I like the under 48.5 points. Now, I don't have a lean on the game for this one in terms of who wins. Well, I think the Eagles win. I lean Eagles spread in this, but I like the under 48.5 points a lot more. And you can play this at 47.5 or 48 if it does go down. And I don't imagine it changes a whole lot. Now, let's talk about it, because for starters, we have something on our side is that this is the 3rd time these two teams have played each other. They're obviously in the same division, the NFC East, and you've played each other already twice. 3rd time, you're already going to kind of know exactly what the other offense is going to want to play. They can only change up the offense so much. Maybe they'll try to throw some tricks in there to kind of get the other defense kind of on its heels, but at the end of the day, the plays that the Eagles love to run, the Giants know where they're coming. And last week, we saw the Giants pull off an upset, although a lot of people were expecting it. The Vikings against the Vikings, beating them 31-24. There were a lot of high-scoring games last week. I believe almost every game went over. I think the Cowboys game was the only one that went under, and obviously Brett Maher had a reason to play into that. But Man, that guy stinks. But you think about Daniel Jones, he looked great last week, and I think people are going to hammer the over here, but I don't think that's the right play. I mean, Daniel Jones and the G-Men looked great, but this is an Eagles defense that is leaps and bounds better than the Vikings defense they saw last week. The Daniel Jones power runs where he's running it 13 times, yeah, that ain't going to fly against the Eagles. The Eagles have a great secondary as well. They allow the fewest passing yards per game, the 7th fewest points as a whole. And you look at the Giants, they're on the road here, again, like they were on the road last week against the Vikings, and they're going up down the road this year in 9 road games. 6 of the 9 have stayed under this 48.5 point line. So I think this Giants team is due a little bit of regression. They scored over 30 points in a couple of their past recent games, but the Eagles defense is getting healthier at the right time. This defense is very, very elite, and I wouldn't be surprised if I see the G-Men just get absolutely blanketed on Saturday. The Giants defense isn't great. I'm not going to come out here and say the Giants defense is one of the best crews in the league, but they are decent. They're not terrible. This team can at least has gotten a little bit better, and they know the Eagles are going to want to run the football. Both these two teams want to run the football. So at the end of the day, we could see longer possessions leading to fewer possessions, and all it comes down to is, will we be able to get out of the red zone with field goals? When you get into the red zone, that's how you cash an over. You need touchdowns. If you're kicking field goals, you're going to need basically every team to score on every possession to hit the over. And we look at both defenses. The Giants, the 7th lowest red zone touchdown for the opposing team. Their defense, 7th lowest red zone touchdown scoring percentage in the league. Eagles are 11th. So two nearly top 10 defenses in the red zone, which is what you need. You need to kick field goals when you get down there. This could be I wouldn't be surprised if I see like an Eagles win 28-20. They kind of dial it in right on the hook for both the over-under and the Eagles spread. Jalen Hurts, how healthy is he? I don't really know. They're still coming off a week of rest, so will they be a little bit rusty coming into this game? Potentially. Jalen Hurts, we don't know his health. I mean, we know he's playing, but how healthy is that shoulder? Will he need surgery this offseason? They're obviously keeping that hush-hush. At the end of the day, I like the under 48.5 points. I think that's very high line for two teams that are in the same division. It should be a kind of a grinded out game, I expect. So give me the under 48.5. Now, let's go to Underdog, the sponsor of the video. And I got an Underdog parlay for you guys. Let's talk about it in a second. But a reminder, use code COS or the link down below in the description. 100% deposit match. Take advantage of that. You can tell me. The first leg, it's this 3 legs, 6 times your money payout. Jerick McKinnon under 25.5 rushing yards. Already talked about it. Travis Kelce over 80.5 receiving yards. Now, I do like Kelce. He's at this in 6 straight playoff games. And at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes in this offense is going to throw it a lot. And Kelce's obviously their number 1 guy. Now, the Jags will try to game plan to take him away, but Travis Kelce, he's going to show up on the biggest of stages, and this is a big playoff game. He's going to show up. He's their number 1 guy. It's kind of hard to double team him. Travis Kelce is going to get the job done. And then the last leg, A.J. Brown, over 5 receptions. Now, you might be seeing this in some books if you're on a regular, like a FanDuel or a DraftKings or a BetMGM. You're like, Austin, this is not normal line. Now, the reason I'm on this over 5 receptions is, one, over 4.5 is about minus 170 on some books. So they're really thinking he's going to get at least 5. So at the worst, he gets 5, and this leg pushes. It just becomes a 2-leg parlay, and that's cool with me. But also, he could get 5. He could get 6. That's not crazy. We think about the Eagles. They spent so much to get him. They're going to use their best weapon. They used him all year long, and things like screen plays, things like just slants, the curls, things to get the ball in his hands. We know what A.J. Brown can do when he has the ball in his hands. So over 5 receptions, I'll take a chance at it. I think it pushes at the worst, but maybe it cashes and we get a 3-leg parlay winner. Either way, you can tell me. Use the code COS or the link down below. 100% deposit match. We certainly would appreciate it. Drop your favorite picks in the comments for Saturday. Like I said, Sunday slate of games will be live. That video will be live a little bit later on Saturday night. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Let's have a great day, and I'll see you guys back again in the next one. Peace out.